One of the challenges of the no reading strategy is that a lot of questions can feel like you need the entire passage to answer them. We're only at question number 2, and this seems like maybe it's also about the whole passage, so how would we be able to answer this if we haven't read the passage? Well, there's a difference between a whole passage question that requires everything and a no line reference question, which may not tell us where to read, but is about a specific set of lines where we can find the answer. This feels like a no line reference question because it's asking about the setting, and it seems to be asking for something that's very specific that we might be able to figure out by reading some lines about the setting. Usually that's at the beginning, but we can also use the chronology rule to help us. So if we look for the line references, remember the questions are supposed to be in the order that they appear in the passage. So if we go to question 3 and we see, oh no, there's still no line reference, what do we do? Well, maybe we go all the way to question 4, and there we go. We have a bunch of line references for 4, and that's because 4 is part of 3. They're an evidence pair. But more importantly, you notice that all of those line references are near the beginning of the passage. So it's pretty logical to say that the line reference here is near the beginning somewhere. So we've got a lot of evidence to look at the beginning because it's about setting the scene, and we've got these other line references from the chronology rule. So it's a good bet. And look, if we don't find the answer, we can always pause this question and come back at the end after we've done all the others. We might get the information we're looking for by doing all the other questions. But in this case, I don't think we need to do that. So if we look, we see that we're talking about this Miss Grace Spivey who's arriving in 3 steps. So we want anything that gives us some information about 3 steps. So first they talk a lot about Miss Spivey. Then it's a hellish month in Georgia when they're there. It's very hot. And again, they talk a little bit more about Miss Spivey here. And the people are gathered to welcome her on the burned grass alongside the tracks. So they're just kind of waiting along the railroad. And burned is probably a negative word. That doesn't sound great. When folks are sweating through their shorts, they don't like to hear that this is nothing compared to someplace else. Irritated or not, the majority of those present were inclined to see the arrival of the new school teacher in a positive light. Hard times were still upon us in 1938, but like Mama said, we weren't no poorer than we'd ever been, and the citizens of 3 Step were in the mood for a little excitement. So it's important to note here that this is not a wealthy community. So when we talk about a comfortable suburb, that doesn't match with the fact that they say it's poor. So it also doesn't really match with it being a place for a prominent university or a retreat for vacationers. But even more so, choice B is like the most vague choice here. We know it's a small town because the people are lined up along the train tracks to welcome the new school teacher. Where else does that happen? Certainly not in big cities. So this is a small town where they're gathering to see this person, and that's about all the evidence we have. If it said something about vacations or hotels or anything like that, then maybe we could pick choice A. Or if it said something about a prominent university or college or something like that, we could maybe pick C. But all we get is that she's a school teacher. That's a big leap to go from school teacher to college professor. And so that's the most important thing with really any process of elimination question, is we're only allowed to choose answers based on the information given to us in the passage. We can't jump to big conclusions. We have to go with what's given, and we just don't have evidence for A or C. B is weak enough. It says very little, and we can justify the very little it says with the evidence that we have. So B is a weak answer, a good answer. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't imagine your own town. Answer based only on the lines. That's very important.